The Extraordinary Rendition of Janos Farkas. Chapter 1. Bangkok, Thailand. He had the thin, desperate look of a man who has spent 2 weeks in a foreign prison without visitors or hope. The man across from him was slick and tight in his neatness, blue suit and sunglasses. The prisoner was holding an 8x10 glossy photograph and staring into it as if it were a mirror. But it was not a mirror he was staring into. It was a picture of a man. A man who could be him. "That's not me," he said. "It looks like me, but it's not me." "I know," the other man answered. "Who is it?" the prisoner asked. "Janos Farkas, an international terrorist," the man replied. "What's he done?" "He's been involved in some bombings. Some very important people have been killed." "Do they think I'm him?" the prisoner asked, pushing the photo back. The other man didn't answer, his face passive, his sunglasses hiding any clues as to what he was thinking. "Do the Thai authorities think I'm him?" he asked again. "No," the man replied. "They think you're just a common murderer." "Are you?" It was Tim Boyd's turn not to answer. 2 weeks earlier, he had been a free man whose dream had come true. He was visiting the Sholan Temple in China, where he had studied martial arts, when he received a message that there was something waiting for him at the British consulate in Guangzhou. It was a diplomatic pouch. In it was an official letter from Her Majesty's government forwarded by his father in London. Without looking, Tim knew it was a letter from the British Secret Intelligence Service, MI6. Nothing else would have been important enough for his father to pull the strings and have it forwarded by diplomatic means. For as long as he could remember, MI6 was all he had ever dreamed about as he moved from city to city, country to country, world to world with his parents, following his father's unpredictable diplomatic postings. They were never in one place long enough for Tim to make real friends, so he created an imaginary James Bond-like twin out of thin air. A twin called Spencer Elliott. A twin who could do the impossible and would accept secret agent assignments that no one else would dare to. That was his dream, to one day become a real-life version of this imaginary Spencer Elliott. There were only 2 things the letter could contain. Yes, you're in. No, you're not. 50-50. His hands were trembling as he opened it. Sucking his breath in, he unfolded the top third of the letter. "Dear Mr. Boyd, we are pleased to inform you that he was in. Report in 10 days, it said. 10 days. He pumped his fist in the air. The letter was dated July 6th, 4 days earlier. He had 6 days to get back to London. No problem. But the best itinerary the airline could do was Guangzhou to Bangkok, Bangkok to Hong Kong, Hong Kong to London. If he overnighted in Bangkok, he could skip the Hong Kong leg and fly direct to London's Heathrow Airport the next morning. Overnighting in Bangkok was a mistake. Harry's bar at the Holiday Inn Hotel couldn't contain his excitement, and he headed for Bangkok's entertainment areas. He was not interested in the girls. All he wanted to do was get anonymously, gloriously, and happily drunk. But girls are what happens in Bangkok's go-go entertainment areas, and in each bar, the girls would approach him. He would drink his whiskey and leave. Finally, he ended up in a small hole-of-a-wall place. The light dim, the music from an old 8-track, the whiskey, not quite whiskey, but potent, and the few girls not pushy. His brain was muzzy with booze and dreams of MI6 grandeur when he felt his zipper being undone. Looking down, he saw a girl of no more than 13 or 14 undoing his pants. He pushed her away. A Thai man walked over to him. You like really young girls? He asked, and clicking his fingers, an even younger girl appeared. Tim looked at her. She was as small and thin as a cartoon doll, and her eyes were swollen red, and he could see where the tears had been rubbed away. Tim snapped, swinging around, his right hand palm open, coming up the man's face hard. He wanted the heel of his hand to hit the man's jaw, driving it up, breaking it, mashing teeth against teeth, mangling his tongue. But the whiskey spoiled his aim, and he hit the nose, driving the bone up into the pimp's brain. The next thing Tim knew, he was in Clom Prem prison, a.k.a. the Bangkok Hilton, sharing a cell with 60 other people. He had been charged with murder. That was 2 weeks ago. He had already missed his MI6 meeting by 8 days. "Did my father send you?" he asked the man in sunglasses. "No," the man replied. "There's nothing your father can do." "Are you from MI6? "No." "Then who are you?" "I'm someone you need." "Why?" "I'm your only way out of here." "How?" "We need you to be this man," he answered, pushing the photo back at Tim. "Who are you and who is we?" "Let's just say that I'm Peter James," the man replied. "Who do you work for, Peter James?" "Ignatus," James replied. "Ignatus Corporation. IC for short." "Never heard of it," Tim said. "No one has. No one is meant to," the man replied. "What is Ignatus? Who is it? Who runs it?" "I can't tell you," the man answered. Tim stared at the man, wishing he could rip the sunglasses off and see some sign of truth, some sign of believability. "You say you can get me out if I impersonate this man for you," he said, holding the picture up. "How can I do that? I may look like him, but I've never heard of him. I have no idea of how he talks or how he acts." "We'll give you a year to learn that." Tim laid the picture down and pushed it back at the man. "You seem reluctant to accept our offer," the man said. "I can assure you that it is a good offer. In fact, it is the best you'll get. If you turn it down, you'll stay in here until you are a very, very old man. That is, if the diplomatic efforts to keep them from executing you are successful." "And if I say yes?" "Then you'll leave here a new man," Peter James replied. "A man called Janos Farkas." "No," James answered. "Not Janos, not yet. You'll have to use an assumed name while you're learning about him. Is there any name you particularly like?" "Elliot," Tim replied. "Spencer Elliot." Berlin, Germany, 1 year later. Gunshots. Ever since she was a child, she had hated gunshots. There was no child's play to the bang bang you're dead of her memory, her history. There was only death and dying. On the stage, men in black, with black ski masks and gray Uzis, had the actors cowering on the floor of the war-torn set. One man was center stage, his Uzi ripping off a flurry of bullets over the heads of the scant and scared audience. Janos pulled her from her seat, pushing her to the floor, and she felt his body covering hers. She knew when she got into this that there would be a beginning and an end. She just didn't know which was which and what they were. She felt the weight of his body leaving hers and hoped that this was only the beginning. Then there was a hand pushing on her head and another creeping around it with the smell of sweetness and nothingness. Her mind, not knowing how to go forward, not knowing what was there, crept back to earlier in the play, watching Shakespeare translated into Bosnian, set in war-torn Sarajevo, and staged in Berlin. Hamlet is Bosniak, the prince of parallels. His mother, the queen of Yugoslavian floozies, now in the clutches of the evil Serb, king of death, darkness, and destruction. There were no more than 20 people in the makeshift theater, and yet, even with all the rows of empty seats, a man with a ginger walrus mustache sat right behind them, his breath ripe with the smell of apples ever present on her neck. Throughout the play, Janos had kept up a running translation from Bosnian into English for her. With the first few translations, the mustache man had "Shh, Janos," telling him that he was ruining the play. But Janos had cocked his finger like a gun, pointed it at the man, and mouthed as though loudly, "Bang." The bang did not need translation, and the man shut up. But why didn't he move? She turned her attention back to the stage, Hamlet in a set of destruction, his voice hoarse with passion. Janos turned, drew his face close to hers, and continued to translate. "The play's the thing wherein will catch the conscience of the king," he said. His eyes were alive as he said it, as though he were Hamlet, and the play of his own making. She felt a tremor of excitement pass through her. Act 2 was over, and the lights came up, further accenting the lack of audience. On the makeshift stage, the actors themselves changed the set pieces, which were nothing more than silhouette cutouts, casting shadows representing war-ravaged Sarajevo. Janos looked at her and smiled. "You're enjoying it, yes?" he said, not meaning it as a question. "It's absolutely so weird, it's wonderful," she wanted to say, but only smiled at him, the smile of a new bride. "Do you love me?" she asked. He didn't answer, but put his hand under her chin and drew her face forward, kissing both her eyelids before her lips. "It's important that you love me," she said. "Yes, little bird," he said and laughed. She smiled because it was as close as he had ever come to declaring his love. "Yes, little bird." She felt the rhythm of his hand on her leg. On stage, Hamlet was addressing the players. Janos was doing the running translation, Elizabeth in English with a Bosnian twang. She closed her eyes to feel and listen. "Be not too tame neither, but let your discretion be your tutor. Suit your action to the word to the action, with this special observance, that your step not the modesty of nature, for anything so overdone is from the purpose of playing." Suddenly, there was silence. She opened her eyes and looked at Janos. His face was frozen in an expression she had not seen before. Not fear, but hardness. She heard a commotion on the stage and looked. There, among the actors, were half a dozen people masked and dressed in black and armed with Uzis. One of the men in black walked up to the front of the stage and let off a spray of bullets. Ein felt Janos push her to the floor, his body over hers. Then came the hand with the sweet smell, and then nothing. That's the end of Chapter 1. Tomorrow, Chapter 2.